Hello everyone, I'm going to be demonstrating the integration between OpenMRS and the Client Registry with OpenHIM as the mediator. So OpenHIM is a tool that we use for deduplication of patients, and the way this is done is by assigning unique identifiers across patients that are the same. An example is these two patients we see here in the Client Registry have the same client UID, meaning that they are the same patient. So we have decision rules that we have to configure within the client registry to enable the system automatically make matches between patients that are the same, or to flag patients that are potentially the same, which we call the potential matches. In our demonstration, I'm going to use two decision rules in as much as we have a number of them that are configured for this instance. One is going to help us to capture auto matches, and then the other will be able to show us how the potential matches work, and then we shall see how to go ahead and fix the matches, whether to match them or to show the system that these are different matches. So I'll start by searching for a patient called Renette that we are going to use. So I quickly search for this patient. When I open the patient, so the decision rule that we're going to use, the first one for auto match, takes in 5 parameters, and if those parameters are the same, then the system will know that these are the same patients. The parameters being considered: 1 is the surname, 2 are the given names, 3 is the gender, 4 is the date of birth, and then 5 is going to be the UPID, so the Universal Patient Identifier. So if 5 of these are the same, then it will be an auto match. However, if only 4 of these parameters are the same, then it will be a potential match that needs a user to decide if this patient is a match to another in the system or not. So I'm going to show a usual workflow within OpenMRS for patient registration. So I'm using this distribution called SIGDEP3. I'll go ahead and attempt to create this patient in this instance. This patient is a female, and then the date of birth is 20th January 1981. So 1981. 20th of January, so January, and this is 20th. So I'll go ahead and create the patient. I'll need to also get the UPID, so I'll copy it here, and then I'll come here and add this ID, and this is supposed to be UPID. I'll add a random ID here for the HIV ID, which is a must for this system, and make this preferred. So currently, from the look of things, the given names, the family name, the UPID, the gender, and the birthday are the same. So expect this patient to be an auto match to this patient. So in this custom workflow for this distribution, when I attempt to save this patient, it will query the client registry and return to me the patients that are going to be auto matches, those that are going to be potential matches, and those that will be conflicts as a match. Now, from what we can see here, this patient has been shown to us as being an auto match. However, we have another patient that is also similar, that is also a potential match. Is a potential match because of one of the other rules that I've not talked about. As you can see that the family names have been swapped for these patients together with the given names, and that's why it's showing us a potential match. The way we are using this OpenMRS distribution, we allow the user, the registrar, to import this patient only if the patient is an auto match and also has a flag of transfer, meaning the facility where they were, they have been tagged as a patient that is transferring out. So now I can go ahead and import this patient, saying that it's actually the patient that we're interested in. So I'll click on import patient, and we shall be redirected back to the registration screen. Ideally, everything should look the same, and this is information we're now getting from the client registry. And if we compare here in the client registry, we also did not have this ID, which was for HIV, as we can see. So we now have this patient having only the UPID gotten from the client registry. So I'll just go ahead and add back the national ID because it's dummy, we don't need anything specific. I'll add it. And now I can go ahead and edit and add new information to this patient. For example, I can add their cell phone number. Then I can add on the patient status because this patient is being transferred into this facility from wherever they are. I can now tag it as transfer in. The status, of course, this would be today, and the date of admission would be today. Once I'm done with this, I can then go ahead and now attempt to save this patient again. Because this patient was imported, the background of our pop-up has now changed from being white into this purplish kind of color in the background to show us that we've already imported a patient from this interface. And once we are happy with this patient, with the information up here, this is still showing us that this patient will be an auto match. We can then go ahead and attempt to create this patient. So when I click on create the patient will now be created in the local instance of OpenMRS and also pushed to the client registry through OpenHIM. So if I'm to log into OpenHIM real quick here to just see what happened, we should be able to see. I want to believe that the patient should be this one. If I open, unfortunately you can't see clearly, but you can see that this is Reagan Makoba that we've just created that has been sent to the client registry. So OpenHIM acts as a mediator for us. So if I check the client registry now, and I go to the auto matches, I expect this patient to be there. So we can already see this patient, and it even shows us the system the patient is coming from. It is SIGDEP3. So if I click on this, I'm able to see what the system actually did for us. And so we have the two patients now in here. The ones that have automatically been matched is this and this patient. Why? This one is coming from SIGDEP3 and this is the one that was coming from the facility that was transferring them out. We could also expand to see a better view of the auto match here. And we should see that these patients indeed have similar information. The given name here is the same as the given name here. The surname is the same here. The date of birth is also the same corresponding. This was a transfer in that we've just created in SIGDEP3. And this one was a transfer, meaning coming from the other facility. We have also the status date, which is today as I'm recording this. And we also have the UPIDs being the same as this. And so here we are able to see the system, how it does the automatic adjudication to know that these patients are indeed the same. This other patient is being shown in another place because this is only a potential match as we saw initially. If we wanted, we can go ahead and make this also an auto match with this, but for now we shall keep it the way it is. So once we are happy with what the system did, we can then go ahead and click on Save Changes to be able to remove this flag currently. So if I click on Save Changes and save again, the flag is going to be removed. So if I go back to auto matches, I'm no longer able to see our patient under auto matches because we are happy with that. And if I go to this patient again and just refresh Reagan Makoba, I should see that now there are two records that have been linked together, these two records. And indeed, if I'm to just go back here and search for Reagan, I should be able to see the two patients. So this one that came from SIGDEP3 is our patient, and the client registry UID, indeed, it is the same for these two patients because they are auto matches. Now, in the event that we had created a patient here that was not an auto match and only going to be a potential match, we would have that patient showing up under actions required. So I'm going to assume we had a patient that we created. Let me just pick on one of these. Let me pick on Coach Amina Winters. and assume that this patient was created from SIGDEP3 and the system sees this patient as a potential match. If I just click on the full view, I should be able to see this patient that the surname is the same, the given names are the same, however, it's different, but the date of birth is also the same. Looking at other statuses, they are also a bit different. However, from this information that we've gathered, in as much as in one system, they saw as though this was a female and this system it's a male, we as the system users, we can be able to make a decision to decide that these patients are indeed the same. So the way that we are able to adjudicate between potential matches is by moving this patient to this other one such that they get the same client registry UID that is the same, or move this one to this other one. Whichever you want to do it, the system will now tag them as being the same patient, meaning we shall have deduplicated this patient and tag this patient to this one to know that this is indeed one patient. So the client registry gives us an easy way to do this by using names of elements of the periodic table. So here we have nitrogen for this first one, and then for this one that is tagged as male, we also have aluminium. So all I would have to do to show that these are the same patients, I'll click on aluminium and push it to nitrogen. And now I'll be asked if I want to move this record. And indeed, I want to move this record to assign it the client registry ID as the first patient. So if I click on move this record, we can see that now there is no more a patient that has this client registry ID, but both of them are now going to have this client registry ID, which will show that they are the same patients. And so once I'm happy with that, I can now just click on save changes. And once I save the changes, this will now be one patient, or the system will now view them as one patient. So if I just search for coach, let me just go to the home page and search for coach. Coach is the surname, sorry. Let me just push this to surname and search there. I should be able to see now coach. If I open coach here, I should be able to see the two of them having been linked together. And this is how we would have matched these two patients. However, later on we may discover that these are indeed different patients in as much as we had made them to be the same patients. They would do that, would just select the two patients that we want to separate, and we shall go ahead and break the matches. And once we break the matches, if I refresh again, let me attempt to do that one more time. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening, but the match is not getting broken.